The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, make sure you guys take the time to like and definitely subscribe to the channel. That will all be greatly appreciated. And let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. So, Amanda Serrano, one of the most decorated, not just Puerto Rican female boxers of all time, not just one of the most decorated boxers for women's boxing, but one of the most decorated boxers, period, active right now in boxing. One of the most decorated Puerto Rican boxers ever in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? So, I can't say nothing but good things about Amanda Serrano. And now it's gone to another level. It's gone to another level as it was reported and it was announced that Amanda Serrano has, in fact, signed with Jake Paul's management company. Yes, Amanda Serrano has, in fact, signed with Most Valuable Promotions. And for those of you who don't know, Most Valuable Promotions is Jake Paul's management company. Amanda Serrano, she had a quote about this, and I'm gonna get to what I gotta say, but she had a quote about this. She said the following, and I quote, "I am excited to announce my signing to Most Valuable Promotions. Together with Jake Paul, we will elevate women's boxing. I've always let my in-ring performance speak for itself. Going forward, I'm going to speak about it. No more sweet, silent Serrano. Sincerely, boxing's GOAT." Woo! Boxing's GOAT. So she's taking Clarissa Shields' title. Jake Paul also had a statement about this, and here's what he said. It's the following, and I quote, "It's official. I'm excited to announce the GOAT. Amanda Serrano has signed as the first MVP athlete of Most Valuable Promotions. Amanda is the #1 pound-for-pound female boxer in the world and the greatest female Hispanic athlete of all time. This is big. Pay attention." So that's what it is. Now, look, this doesn't come as a big surprise because, Amanda Serrano and Jake Paul, they got pretty well acquainted with each other training in Puerto Rico. He's developed a mutual respect for her. She's developed a mutual respect for him, and they're going to work together. And look, I think this is great for Amanda Serrano because for years it's been one of the most confusing things for me how boxing has never capitalized on what Amanda Serrano is bringing to the table. For years you've heard promoters complain, bitch, and moan about how boxing doesn't have that Puerto Rican superstar to fill the shoes of Miguel Cotto, which is true. Edgar Berlanga isn't there yet. Felix Verdejo was a bust. A lot of fighters failed. Danny Garcia never quite broke through the way he should have. You know what I'm saying? Amanda Serrano for years has been one of the best talents, if not the best talent, right up there with Clarissa Shields and Katie Taylor and all those girls. She's been arguably the best talent that women's boxing had to offer for a long time, for the better part of a decade, and she's never been recognized. I've been to 2 of her fights in person. I've seen times where promoters have her fight extremely early in the card where there's nobody in the arena, so nobody even gets a chance to see her. And she's delivering great performances time and time again. So when you take the fact that she's an explosive puncher, Puerto Rican fighter, superstar qualities, very attractive, very easy on the eyes. Any heterosexual male would love to, be with and spend the night with Amanda Serrano. I think, if we're being honest, we would say that. With that being said, I feel like this Jake Paul situation is a knockout, just a match made in heaven. It's a knockout the park because one thing, even though Jake Paul isn't in the boxing business per se, he understands. If there's one thing Jake Paul understands, it's marketing and promotion. And when you take what she brings to the table, being a Latina, being a Puerto Rican fighter, being someone that can punch and is really fun to watch, and you pair it with the marketing and promotion abilities of a Jake Paul. I don't see how this couldn't. I don't see how this couldn't be a match made in heaven. She's done some great things. She's been a 7-division world champion. She's been delivered countless great performances. But now it's time for her to get the recognition she deserves. And obviously they have to make that Katie Taylor fight happen, and that's the fight they're looking at next. So here's what Serrano continued to say in regards to her former promotional status with Lou DiBella, saying, I quote, "I do not have a promoter anymore. Myself and Lou DiBella have had a good 5 years together. We are still good friends. There is no hard feelings, but at this point in my career, a promoter isn't needed. I'm excited to be part of Jake Paul and his management team moving forward." So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And Jake Paul continued to expound upon Amanda Serrano, stating, I quote, Amanda is the #1 pound-for-pound female fighter in the world and the greatest Hispanic female athlete of all time. Amanda hasn't had someone with a big platform to really put her on. She's so marketable. We know what that means. She's so marketable and a natural-born superstar. There's a new era of boxing, and there's a new way about promoting these fights, and there's a new way to become a big fighter, and that's what we specialize in at Most Valuable Promotions. Amanda already has the skills. Now we're going to add the secret sauce into the equation. So look, man, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because I feel like if Jake Paul does a good job promoting her, this will have a positive ripple effect on women's boxing. I feel like if Amanda Serrano is being promoted properly and she's in the limelight and they make these big fights with Katie Taylor, that only bodes well for the women's fighters. It bodes well for her. It bodes well for Katie Taylor. It bodes well for Claressa Shields. It bodes well for, you know, the lovely and, you know, my future wife, Sinisa Estrada. It bodes well for a lot of the women's fighters that are really you know, undervalued and under promoted, to be honest with you. Now look, I'm not gonna say and act like I'm the biggest fan of women's boxing, but there is some talent in women's boxing. There's a lot of talented women's fighters that are not getting recognized and that are very marketable, that I feel like would be an asset to the sport of boxing, that for whatever the case may be, promoters and the business of boxing have felt like they don't need to invest in them. So here now comes Jake Paul, a guy with a lot of capital, a guy with a big platform, a guy with a lot of eyeballs, somebody that really has a lot going for him in terms of marketing and promotion. And I really feel like this is going to be one of the biggest wins that women's boxing has experienced in a long time. And it only bodes well for the female fighters. So, yeah, you know, shout out to all the female fighters. Shout out to Amanda Serrano. Shout out to Jake Paul. I'm looking forward to seeing how, you know, how this works out. And, you know, with that being said, if the fight can get done between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano at Madison Square Garden, I think it's going to be one of the biggest events of all time for women's boxing. If not the biggest event in the history of women's boxing, because we talk about New York City, we talk about like big Puerto Rican community in New York City, a big Irish community in New York City. You factor in, you know, that these are two of the best women's fighters in the world. You factor in that you're going to have the marketing and promotion of Jake Paul, that big machine, and the audience he's bringing, and you're going to combine it with what Eddie Hearn brings to the table. And I feel like it's just a mega event, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to leave it at that. You guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Amanda Serrano now working with Jake Paul and Most Valuable Promotions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.